So your name is Poe. Is that short for anything?
Your name is Chuck. Is that short for anything? Like stupid?
Wow. Are you sure it's not an abbreviation for pissed off? Because you are hostile.
Why I gotta be pissed off? Because I'm a polar bear? I gotta be angry? Listen, you carbon-covered snowflake. I'm angry, but it's for a reason.
All right, Kung Fu slander. Damn. Why are you so angry?
Look what you did in my habitat. My people's is dying because your people keep digging shit up out the ground and trying to burn it.
Hey, not me, man. I'm trying to help.
Not me, man. I'm trying to help. Shut up, bitch. You people keep trotting out the polar bears, the poster child of climate change. Then you keep dumping shit in the ocean, burning fossil fuels, and then saying global warming isn't real. I got a little gift from them penguins you love so much.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm flipping you off, you dumb fuck, and I have fingers. I bet if you ask some of these people in the park about climate change, they wouldn't know an ass from an Eskimo.
What's that?
I said an ass from an Eskimo. That's wordplay on how dumb you humans are.
Look, you got a right to be angry. I understand.
Damn right I got a right to be angry. I'm white and I get treated like this. Where's my white privilege, huh? Where's my white privilege?
Look, I'm willing to test your theory. Let's go ask some people right now.
Let's get to testing.
Well, I used to live in Texas, and we have this saying, if you don't like the weather, just wait 15 minutes. Climate's always changing, and I mean, oh!
It's real, bitch!
So do you believe in climate change?
Look, I'm not gonna say it's a hoax, but I listen to a lot of talk radio, the jury's still out. I appreciate both views, but...
It's real, bitch! I'll stop from both sides!
What causes human-caused climate crisis?
Many things. Like... Oh, wait a minute. What's the question?
You might know it as climate change.
I don't know. Hurricanes?
It's real, bitch! Come on here, motherfucker!
What the hell is happening?
So yeah, there are many causes to climate change, you know, because the Earth is close to the sun, which makes it more vulnerable to the solar flares. And then you have the Milankovitch cycles to worry about.
Stop Milankovitch! You fucking serious? I'm as serious as climate change!
So you believe in climate change?
Well, this is all God's will. There was once a flood, now there's this. If it's within his plan that the earth heats up till we are no more, it's not my job to interfere.
Oh, hell no!
No!
What? It's real, bitch!
All right, Poe, listen, you might have a point. I can see what you're saying.
Man, you know what? Fuck you.
Ah, okay. All right, people, see, this is serious. Look, we are causing global climate crisis. We're causing it. We put stuff into the atmosphere, and it's the trapping of the...
Ah! Real, bitch!
Oh, fuck! What did you... What?
Man, I ain't hear shit about Poe in there.
Oh.
Hey, Max, are we ready for the next Inside the Greenhouse yearly contribution to climate comedy?
I'm ready, Beth. Are you ready?
Yes. This is really going to celebrate the role of good-natured comedy for drawing serious attention to climate change.
This year's offering's beginning to stream on Earth Day, April 22nd, 2020, live from Boulder at the University of Colorado.
So over the past 5 years, in addition to doing our live show, Stand Up for Climate Change, we've also been doing this international competition for climate videos. And back in 2016, our first place winner is one we'd like to share with you tonight. It's called Weather Girl Goes Rogue, and it's by Heather Libby and Kai Nagata, and it's enacted by Pippi Mackay.
Well, it's the Labor Day weekend. Last chance to lounge by that pool and wrap up your summer reading list. Pippa's standing by with the full forecast. Pippa, looks like that nice warm weather isn't quite ready to leave.
I don't know why you would imagine that it would. We've broken thousands of temperature records across the country and the planet this year. In fact, we're heading into the 329th consecutive month with a global temperature above the 20th century average.
Definitely time to light up that barbecue.
Yes. the barbecue.
Pip, I think the folks at home are probably about ready for that 7-day forecast.
Okay, sure. Let's start up north, way up north. This week, satellites measured the smallest area of Arctic sea ice coverage in recorded history. That's 4 million square kilometers of ice missing since the 1980s. Where did it go? That's bigger than India. And it's happening so quickly, some researchers are now forecasting a summer with no ice in the Arctic Ocean within 10 years. So instead of a bright white sheet reflecting sunlight back into space, that means dark water sucking up even more heat, making it melt faster and faster. Most scientists prefer the friendlier term of feedback loop, but I'm more inclined to call it what it is, an inescapable death spiral.
I think there's a feedback loop in my earpiece, because I believe I just heard myself ask you for the weather report.
This is the weather report. This is what's happening. Scientists are telling us we can put 565 more gigatons of carbon into the atmosphere before global temperatures rise by 2 degrees, which is universally accepted as the threshold of total mayhem. Except if you add up the proven reserves of fossil fuels controlled by the world's energy companies, the oil and gas and coal we currently plan to burn, that amount is 5 times the safe limit. So if you think it's bad now, you just wait and see what hell we're going to unleash once we start drilling under the Arctic and digging up the tar sands so you can drive 3 blocks to get an ice cap. You think all of this extreme weather is a coincidence? You want the weather report? This is a reality report!
So all in all, a great Labor Day weekend and good times for the air conditioner industry.
Until the power goes out, you moron!
In other news, Chavril madness is sweeping the nation. Canada's royal couple of rock was spotted canoodling.
Thanks to the folks at the Earth Day Network for all your work.
That was in 2016. Weather Girl went rogue in 2016. You remember 2016? Now we're in 2020. It's a much different world now. And so while we're recording live on the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and that's kind of mind-blowing, we need to just take stock of the fact and give a shout out to the state of Wisconsin, where we're each from. You're from Sheboygan Falls, as I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
I'm from Madison, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin produced Senator Gaylord Nelson, who with a whole lot of support is credited with establishing Earth Day in 1970. So a shout out to the Badger State, even though we're here at the University of Colorado.
I wondered what that was you were holding up.
This event is part of a wider project that we've dubbed Inside the Greenhouse. Actually, it was kind of a funny thing that it came about by that name because we had named it after Inside the Actors Studio, thinking that this could be a way for us to get inside of creative climate communications and understand the product process as well as the products of creative communications in the 21st century. So we house it here at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and it's an experimental space where students and others can learn while they build capacity in creative communications about climate change. So our show tonight actually is an illustration of many of those larger aims.
Tonight's lineup is going to be fantastic. We have some sketch comedy, we have some stand-up comedy, we have the winners of our international video competition, and we have featured comedian Chuck Nice. Some people think that using climate and comedy together in the same realm can trivialize the importance of such an issue. We just want to let you know that our thought here is that we're offering climate comedy not to make light of any of these situations, but hopefully to bring light to folks. We have a contribution specifically for this show. It's brought to us by our featured comedian, Chuck Nice.
Earlier today, I received a phone call that there was change in the climate, and I was simply taken aback. We had a lot of these same problems back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and we really didn't think there was much to do about it.
Wow, you do know you can cheer.
I'm proud of you, and I'm embarrassed around you.
I'm sorry that this is what you inherited, and thank you so much for giving a fuck.
the environment is one of the few bipartisan issues that we really do have in this country.
What country is this guy talking about?
Young people are the solution to figuring out how we create a sustainable future. I mean, it is, of course, their future that we're talking about.
I can't drive or vote, but it's up to me to save the fucking planet. What? You plan on being dead in 20 years? To all the adults who think this is our problem, we have a message for you.
Fuck you!
We understand that you're impressed when kids take action.
But it shouldn't be like that.
Climate chaos is happening now. So unless you guys plan on killing yourselves,
You know, the way you guys are killing the planet.
you better stop counting on us. We hit 415 parts per million for the first time in human history. The future is now, asshole. Yeah, dipshit. The future is now.
Yeah, that's right. We talk like this when you're not around.
So for all of our sakes.
Get your shit together!
Yeah! Get your shit together!
You should be ashamed of yourself for leaving your hopes in the hands of children.
Hi, my name is Catherine Hayhoe. I am a climate scientist. That's right. I study climate change every day. And I can tell you straight from the horse's mouth, it sucks. It is scary. It is depressing. It is so frustrating that I hardly even read the news anymore. So what are we supposed to do about it? I'll tell you what, make jokes about it. Black humor really does save us when we feel like things are just so bad we don't want to know what to do. If we can laugh about it, that means we can move forward. I don't have a lot of good climate jokes. That's what everybody else is here for. I grew up in church, though, and I do have a good church joke I want to share with you. Who is the stretchiest man in the Bible? Abraham. Because the Bible says that he tied his ass to a tree and walked for 3 days. Thank you very much.
And so this particular piece that you're about to see is by students Trevor Bishop and Tanner Biglione, which is really a great example of how many participants through the years have harnessed multiple modes of communication for a great sketch comedy act. This 2017 performance was recorded partly live on stage at the Old Main Chapel at CU Boulder, as well as partly in the foothills above Boulder. And this piece bears witness to their creative talent and to the spirit of the events that we host in person each year in, incidentally, non-pandemic years. We bring you Wild Pollution.
Got some newborn hatchlings, and it looks like mother isn't around, so we can spend some time observing the nest. As you can see here, we've got ourselves a rare creature, and we're going to have to try to sneak up on it to see if we can catch it. Let's go. Alright, here we got it. You got it. Alright, so this here is an endangered species. Incredibly hard to find and even harder to catch. Alright, so here we are in this nice cave. We're not exactly sure what we're going to find in there, but we're going to go on in, have a look around, see if we can find anything.
Wow, what amazing best pictures that we have this year. But, you know, only one can be the winner.
No way. There's ties.
This year's winner for the best picture is La La Land! Wild Pollution, come on up. You won Best Picture. This is not a lie. Wild Pollution won Best Picture. La La Land did not win. Wild Pollution.
Thank you so much for having us here for what happened to your accent?
Thank you for having us here tonight. I just want to say we're incredibly honoured for this award, and we understand you deserve this significantly more than any of the other fields that we're submitting. So,
yes, thank you. This is a great honor. Why? Why did we win? We won because we gave the people what they want. They want garbage. They want trash.
We want to give a special thanks to President Trump for getting rid of any kind of environmental regulations that has made it possible for us to film this fantastic documentary.
Oh, yeah. And finally, we want to thank the people. We want to thank you guys. Without your gross negligence, your bigotry, you're a bigot. You're a bigot. We would not have been able to observe these animals in their natural environments.
Once again, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Hello, it's Ben Glebe here, comedian and host of Idiot Test on Netflix, and I just wanted to say I'm very happy to be here supporting. I'm not there, actually. No one's anywhere, but I'm here at home where I am, and I'm happy to be supporting from my home the University of Colorado and Inside the Greenhouse because I care about the Earth. I think it's weird we've had Earth Day for only 50 years because the Earth is older than that. We probably should have given our own Earth birthdays a little bit earlier, but we're not the nicest. So at least we're finally stepping up. I'm also happy that people are taking it seriously because we need to fix our climate. And if you don't, you're an idiot. I know. I test them for a living. Have a fun show, everybody.
Okay, so next up, we've got a piece by who won our 3rd place in 2019. He's an international climate change competition winner. His name is Josh Willis, but he might be more accomplished for the fact that he's actually a really world-famous oceanographer with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
This piece that he performs, he's come a long way since then. It's called The Climate Rock, and it's directed by Lizzie Gordon.
Hello there, little lady.
Say, what's climate?
Well, you curious little ankle biter. Climate is the generally prevailing weather conditions, including temperature, precipitation, humidity, wind, cloudiness, as a function of time throughout the year, composited over many years.
What?
Let me try something a little different.
Sunny on Sunday, high 73. Monday, rain was pouring down on me. Tuesday was cold, I almost froze my toes. Oh, what's it gonna be next week? Who knows? That's weather. Oh, that's the weather you got. But you take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. Our climate is the average of the weather you see. The critters and plants all know where to be. A cactus can't live in the tropical rain, and polar bears don't dig by rain. That's climate.
Wait a minute. So, are you saying that plants and animals know about climate too?
Well, that's right, little Miss Jane Goodall. Every living thing on Earth is adapted to the very specific climate that it lives in.
Wow, that's wild.
That's not just wild.
That's climate. Oh, that's the climate you got. Maybe. You take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. The sun beams down right through the sky. It warms the earth like an apple pie. The top gets a little and the middle gets a lot. So the poles are cold, the equator is hot. That's climate.
Wait a minute. You're saying that the Earth is warmed up by the sun?
That's right, little Miss Sally Ride. The sun gives the Earth pretty much all the heat it needs. And the places that get more sun, well, they're warmer.
Wow, that's cool.
That's not just cool.
That's climate. Oh, that's the climate you got. You take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. Well, the climate has been changing, cause the greenhouse gases we spew. They trap the heat and warm the earth and melt the glaciers too. The globe, it has been warming, but the weather still blows through. So just because it's cold sometimes doesn't mean it isn't true. Global warming, oh, that's global warming. You bet that's climate too when there's global warming. That's climate, oh, that's the climate you got. Oh. You take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. You take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. Oh yeah.
So, climate is the average weather we expect in different places, and it's all getting warmer because of us?
That's right, little Madam Curie.
Jeepers.
Well, looks like my work here's done.
So you're just gonna explain climate to one person and then leave?
Yep. All in a day's work.
Oh, what's it gonna be next week? Who knows? That's weather. Oh, that's the weather you got. Oh, but you take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. Our climate is the average of the weather you see. The critters and plants all know where to be. A cactus can't live in the tropical rain, and polar bears don't dig by rain. That's climate. Oh, that's the climate you got. Maybe. You take a bunch of weather and you average it together and you're doing the climate rock. Oh yeah. Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Chuck Nice. I'm an actor, comedian, and writer, and I'm also a homeowner. And my home is here on planet Earth. And that's why I'm very concerned about the climate crisis. Not because I love the Earth so much, but because my home is beachfront property. And that's why I support Inside the Greenhouse and University of Colorado as they present Stand Up for Climate Change, a celebration of 50 years of Earth Day. It's a comedy show that addresses the climate crisis, which is very inventive and extremely necessary. That's why I need you to watch and tell somebody you know to watch. Support the Earth. Support Inside the Greenhouse. Support saving humanity, because that's what's at stake here. That and my beach house.
Next up is a piece that won honorable mention in 2019 in our competition. And this one comes to us from John Cook. And he's a research professor at the Center for Climate Change Communication at George Mason University.
We've gotten to know John Cook over the years as a brilliant animator, and he's focused in a great deal on creative communication and climate denial. And so his piece is called Giving Climate Denial the Flick.
This is climate. Climate has been going through some changes lately. It's feeling hotter. It's thinning on top. It's experiencing more flooding events. What's causing these changes? We've been burning fossil fuels like coal and oil, sending greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The problem is greenhouse gases let sunlight in to warm the Earth, but they also trap infrared heat glowing from the Earth's surface. The more greenhouse gases in the air, the more heat gets trapped and the planet warms. Scientists have been measuring our climate for many decades, and all the evidence confirms that burning fossil fuels is the main cause of global warming. The scientific case is so strong that 97% of climate scientists now agree that humans are causing global warming. But some people dismiss the scientific consensus. How can you tell if someone is rejecting scientific evidence? Science denial has 5 telltale techniques. Learning how to spot them can keep you from being misled by misinformation. So let's look at science denial in its natural habitat. The first technique of denial is fake experts, spokespeople with no relevant expertise. The Global Warming Petition Project lists 31,000 people disagreeing with human-caused global warming, but 99.9% of the people in the petition have no expertise in climate research. That's fake experts in bulk. The second technique is logical fallacies. A common fallacy is red herring, a distraction that has nothing to do with the conclusion. For example, arguing that carbon dioxide takes up a small percentage of the atmosphere, so it can't have a strong effect. But we all know examples in everyday life where a tiny amount has a big effect. Take blood alcohol, for example. The third technique is impossible expectations, demanding unrealistic standards of proof, like arguing that global warming doesn't exist because it's cold. Cold weather won't disappear during global warming, it's just less likely. The fourth technique of denial is cherry picking, focusing on select pieces of data while denying any science you disagree with. Arguing that global warming hasn't happened over a short period ignores the bigger picture, long-term global warming. The last technique is conspiracy theories, the idea that all the world's scientists are in on a global plot. The problem is you can't change the mind of a conspiracy theorist. Show them evidence to disprove their conspiracy, and they'll say the evidence was part of the conspiracy. Facts bounce off their tinfoil hat. That's the 5 techniques of denial: fake experts, logical fallacies, impossible expectations, cherry picking, and conspiracy theories. Knowing these techniques is the first step to giving misinformation the flick.
Hey, Bill McKibben here. There's nothing funny about climate change. Or maybe there is. I don't know. The Inside the Greenhouse has been finding things funny for 5 years. So thank you for that, and keep on drawing attention to the need for climate action.
Okay, so Max, what was the name of the the National Park Service climate change?
Yeah, the Climate Change Response Program. And we had that really great workshop about how to effectively communicate climate change in the national parks.
Yes, and so I led a thing of climate theater in the evening in the hotel. Everybody who was a participant was there, and John was very good-natured about donning a penguin costume. From this year's Creative Climate Comedy class, we have a submission by Kelsey Leskinen.
It would be nice to come back to a clean house. So clean it. I didn't do it. So how about you clean it? No.
Não vai não. Agora que esse som tá ficando bom. Não vai não.
Hello, all you folks inside the greenhouse at UC Boulder with snow on the ground still all around. This is Andy Revkin up in the Hudson Valley, cloistered across the river from West Point, the military academy, thinking about climate and comedy and hoping you have a good session and that we all find a way to smile on the path to climate progress. Just in case you think there aren't surreally weird and I'd say funny things about the whole business, just go back to my 1988 cover story on global warming, like 6,000 words on everything I've ever written ever since. And then look at what we were doing in the back cover. So an award-winning science magazine was selling global warming concern on the front and cigarettes on the back. And you can be exasperated, infuriated, amused, but you'll be reacting to it and thinking about it. And so that's why I think climate and comedy can mix. Good luck, have fun, and let's have a good path to Earth Day 100, 2070. Take care.
And from the vault, we have one of my favorites of all time, el verde, matón de ambiente.
Soy el voz del medio ambiente.
Me llamo el verde, con poco suerte la salud del mundo ya no está muerte. No soy de la calle, soy de la tierra y tengo un mensaje cuando vayas afuera. Fresca.
Esta es mi primera canción. Respecta a tu madre. Su madre es el mundo.
¿Por qué compras mucho? No es suficiente. Cosas inútiles y demasiado gente. Respecta a tu madre.
¿Cómo dijiste?
Respecta a tu madre.
¿Cómo dijiste?
Respecta a tu madre.
¿Cómo dijiste?
Respecta a tu madre.
No es un chiste.
Respecta a tu madre. Respecta a tu madre. Respecta a tu madre.
La próxima canción que necesitas oír se llama Qué loco.
Fresca. Si tienes cuchara, ayuda a tortugas. Y siempre con carne, comes lechuga y frutas. Son muy deliciosos y pueden crecer con energía Boykoff. Qué loco.
¿Por qué uso la palabra cuchara en vez de cuchillo? No sé.
So we've even conducted research with our students on the impact of being involved in climate comedy. And the things that we found were that it helps these students process negative emotions. And then we've also found that by doing this, that it helps feed hope and it even sustains climate action. And Max here wrote a book with Cambridge University Press recently called Creative Climate Communication. It's being read all over the world, including our nation's capital. And we just have, we've published academic articles on the surprising benefits of using comedy as a way to communicate climate.
So, as we mentioned before, in addition to the live shows that we've had in Boulder, which have each have been very memorable, don't you think, Beth?
Yes, especially when we did them on St. Patrick's Day. That was very memorable.
A mistake we made twice. Yep.
There's no education in the second kick of a donkey.
Well, in addition to all those live shows, over the past 5 years, we've held an international climate change and comedy video competition. And so these entries we've had juried by Boulder faculty, boring, students, cool, staff and other friends, great, of the show. And then we've had winners. I stopped because that's your part there.
Oh, sorry. I got so interested in what you were saying. This year we got entries from the UK, from the US, Tajikistan, even South Africa. And competition was tough. We had a tie for third place. The first third place winner is a piece called Be a Climate Voter, and it's here from the USA. It's written and directed by Celia Gurney, cinematography by Owen Agune, and the piece stars Ivy Hong, Michael Calciano, Bartis Cox, and Lauren Anderson.
I feel like it gives you a pass on being physically active.
When you go to marches, you get to hold up punny signs, like this one. Woo. And this one. That's our planet, and that's not. I like to call my elected officials. Senator Chuck Schumer, this is Chatham Willoughby from District 29 in Park Slope, Brooklyn. There's so much noise coming from the co-op down the street. When are we gonna shut that thing down? Shumi, it's Chatham. Do you think you can really be friends with an ex? I know you're not turning 6, but it's the only candle I have. Happy birthday, dear Chuck.
But my favorite thing about being politically active is that it's arguably the biggest way to fight climate change.
The other individual actions we each take, like flying less, do add up and make a difference.
But without large-scale governmental action, we'll still be screwed.
We have to vote in people who will take steps to solve this issue.
And then we have to hold them accountable by pestering them.
Hey Chuck, I'm on my way to an imported fruit-themed costume party, but I wanted to just check in with you on the status of the Green New Deal legislation.
The second third place winner, the other tying third place winner, is a piece called Too Late to Stop Climate Change by writer, presenter, and editor Adam Levy, who's in the UK. And he got filming and punching help from Alex Paulin Booth. Enjoy.
As I have been saying all along, Climate Change just doesn't have the same ring to it. Oi, give me all your Pokemon. My what? Oh my goodness. Help! Oh no! The punching is already underway. Yes, I can feel that on my face. So if you could help as soon as possible. Okay, I'm setting a 20 punch limit. We definitely need to stop the punching by then. Or just as soon as possible. Oh dear, it looks like we've passed the threshold. What? I guess it's just a punch disaster now. It was always a disaster for my beautiful face, and it's getting worse. Yes, it's just too late to stop you getting punched. This is a world ruined by punching of your face. It's getting more ruined all the time, so just stop this attack. If only we'd all acted sooner, then we could have protected you. But better late than, never. You're right. We should set up a colony on Mars to escape this punch-ridden world. Okay. What?
This is Ed Begley asking you to stand up for climate change on April 22nd, or sit down for climate change, or sit in a solar heated tub for climate change, but be there April 22, 8 a.m. Boulder, Colorado time. That's 7 a.m. my time, Pacific time.
So every year at Inside the Greenhouse, we give awards for Creative Climate Communicator of the Year and Citizen Climate Communicator of the Year. This year we have, pardon?
I'm sorry, these are coveted awards like the Oscars, like the Emmys, like the Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are trophies involved in this.
Yes, cogs in the machine.
This year's Citizen Award goes to 500 Women Scientists. This is an incredible organization that serves society by making science open, inclusive, and accessible. And they're a voice for women scientists all over the world. This year, we honor everybody who's a part of this organization, but in particular, Jane Zelikova and also Kelly Ramirez. Congratulations.
So what's fun is that we get to give these to organizations as well as individuals. And so this year's Creative Climate Communicator Award may not be much of a surprise to you based on the contributions to this particular show. It goes to none other than Chuck Nice, everybody. So as you've seen the show already, Chuck is a veteran of stand-up comedy with a rich history in entertainment, in addition to being the co-host of Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is very cool. He's a regular contributor to the Today Show. He's guest hosted on The View. He's been a frequent guest on MSNBC, CNN, and in other places. So Chuck, with all of that work, you have earned yourself one of the cogs in the machine Inside the Greenhouse Creative Climate Communicator Award. Congratulations.
At the next listing of his many accomplishments, I think that this award will be top among them.
It won't come off. Oh, my Norwegian God.
Mr. President, do you have any idea how this happened?
First of all, let me just say you're a very attractive woman. There was a time in my life I would have harassed you so hard, but look, like most things having to do with me, you'll just have to suspend disbelief. But it happened. You know it and I know it. And believe me, when I say believe me, you can believe me. Believe me.
I'll take that as a cue to move on. We're here to talk about the environment anyway.
So big, so big.
Sir, has your recent change caused you to consider any other changes? Perhaps your views on the environment?
You know, we're lucky. We grew up in a land that was rich in a lot of ways, but it's also rich because it has a lot of oil underneath, oil and gas. And as you know, natural gas, LNG, is all over the country now at a very low price. And our carbon in our atmosphere, or the level of our environmental cleanliness, is at an all-time best right now because we're using a lot of natural gas, but we have many forms of energy, including some of the newer forms that people want to see us go to. We have a lot of different forms of energy. We're number one in the world, and we want to keep it that way.
Mr. President, I'm pretty sure carbon in the atmosphere is at a 15 million year high.
Well, it's not because of me. I cut oil production. We're trying to get Mexico, as the expression goes, over the barrel. And Mexico is committing to doing hundreds of thousands of fewer barrels. The president and I spoke last night. We have a great relationship, great friendship. The United States will help Mexico along, and they'll reimburse us sometime later when they can do it, when they're prepared to do so. And we had a great conversation. But we'll find out how all that works out.
Sir, that action is meant to protect the oil industry, not the ecology.
It's true. You know it, and I know it, bigly. At the same time, we're maintaining America's world-class standards of environmental protection. We have some of the cleanest air and cleanest water on Earth. And for our country, the air right now is cleaner than it's been in 40 years. I guess you go before that, there was a lot less activity, so we're competing. I would imagine 200 years ago, it was great. And 500 years ago, before we got here, it must have been really nice, right? But in the last 40 years, it's the cleanest right now.
Sir, it's almost like you say whatever you want. Can you back up any of these statements with facts?
Here's a fact. There's a thing called clean coal. Coal will last for 1,000 years in this country. We've ended the war on beautiful, clean coal, and it's just been announced that a second brand new coal mine, where they're going to take out clean coal, meaning they're taking out coal, they're going to clean it. It's opening in the state of Pennsylvania.
With all due respect, what the fuck are you talking about? It sounds like you're just making things up.
You know what? You're a nasty reporter. That's a nasty statement. And maybe you should do more research. I don't know. A lot of people are saying if you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down in value 75%. And they say the noise causes cancer.
This feels irresponsible. I feel like I'm spreading misinformation. I don't know if I should go on with this interview.
You're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. That's a nasty question. You're a nasty reporter. You're putting out a very bad signal to the American people. The American people are looking for answers. They're looking for hope. And you're doing sensationalism. And the same with NBC and Comcast. I don't call it Comcast. I call it Concast. And let me tell you something. That's really bad reporting. You ought to get back to reporting instead of sensationalism. Let's see if it works. It might not. I happen to feel good about it. But who knows? I've been right a lot. Let's see what happens. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You're a terrible reporter. You're nasty is what you are. Let me just say that. You're nasty. A lot of people say, I'm the guy that knows. I know more about the environment than pretty much anybody.
Over the years, our students have created innumerable sketch comedies, and this is one of our favorites.
This tracks all the way back to 2012. This is a piece called Green and Save. It was created and performed by Johnny Motley and Samantha Frith. And I swear to you, it was filmed a block from my house, though I've never had that verified.
It's great.
Maybe I just don't get women. But Stacy must have been coming on to me this morning.
Hey, Steve. Do you drive to work every day?
Yeah,
You should give me a ride sometime.
I could do that.
I can't believe Steve drives to work every day. We're neighbors. We could at least carpool and save gas.
And then she gets down under my desk.
Are you finished? I can put it back in.
You see what I mean? Totally coming on to me.
Hey, Steve, do you think you could help me reach something in the supply closet?
Yeah, Stacy. Oh yeah, I can reach that.
Thanks for helping me out, Steve.
For sure, Stacy.
Right up there. Thank you.
You know, it's better with the lights off.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Ew.
Yeah, she wants me. Hook up with your coworkers.
To reduce energy consumption around the office.
'Cause it's getting hotter.
Your business can save the environment and money.
Go to greenandsave.com today to make a difference.
The 2020 International Climate and Comedy Video Competition's second place winner is a piece called Do People Know More About the Actual Universe or the Marvel Universe? And this was created and performed by Rolly Williams, who seems to hide out at times in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, but he's from New York City.
I think he's quarantined in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, as we speak.
Hey there, I'm Al Gore, former vice president and the man who got friend-zoned by all of America. With the Avengers Endgame on the big screen, I'm out here in New York City trying to find out whether people know more about the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the one that they actually live in. Oh man, who am I, Jimmy Crimmels? Just joking. Let's go. Who is your favorite Avenger?
I'd have to go with Thor. Probably Hawkeye.
I don't know, I like the Iron Man movies the most. Is Black Panther one? Oh, there we go.
Just rattle off some Avengers if you can name them.
Captain Marvel, Captain America, Thor.
You got the Hulk, Spider-Man.
Ant-Man.
Did we say Doctor Strange?
Oh.
Black Widow.
Now, you named a million Avengers. Okay, now I gotta know, just for me, who's your favorite climate scientist?
Oh, that's got to be, well, they're doing some great studies.
Totally, and they are great. So who's your favorite one?
Oh, of all, oh man.
Or just name one. Just name one if you got it. Who's your favorite climate scientist?
Andy,
you got one?
I said I don't f***ing know. I wish I knew. I don't know the names of any.
Is this a sign of the times that I can't name a climate scientist?
I think it might be. Let me just say, you're getting to the heart of this video. What does MCU stand for?
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Very good. You know the IPCC? What does the IPCC stand for?
The International...
Oh, nope. You guys know about the IPCC?
What's that? No, I don't know.
Okay, so they are like the Avengers of our world.
Independent.
Close.
International.
Close.
Say that all?
You did. They're both wrong. And one more time, MCU, what does that stand for?
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, excellent. I'm just going to do a little role playing. Let's pretend Thanos is real. Sure. All right? Thanos is a real guy, and he's out there very dangerous. Now, I don't believe Thanos is real. Try to convince me.
He vanished half the universe, so you don't see them. But Thanos, you gotta see.
Oh, so they're all invisible?
So you're like a Thanos denier? Where did half your friends go?
I don't know. Maybe they're all on vacation.
There's a force in our world.
Never seen it.
Well, you don't have to see it to believe it.
I don't believe it.
Just because you can't see it, if a tree falls in the woods,
I don't believe in trees.
There's definitely a problem in the world, and just because you can't see it does not mean you can't be affected by it.
Left-wing conspiracy.
Nah, he did just schooled us using logic. Like
No, I didn't get you. I just shouted words at you. You got me, and then I just said, I can't hear you. Well, there you have it. People know more about intergalactic space wizards and cosmic gorillas than they do about the actual universe that they live in. Boy, I hope someone makes a movie about climate change. I bet they'd give that movie a Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, wait. I already did that. Gore out. Microphone drop. Okay, but we didn't really drop it. Microphones are a huge carbon footprint. We wouldn't do that. Ooh, after the credits scene, Marvel scene. Wow, after the credits, roll credits. New scene after the scene, Marvel. Are you happy now? I have a bunch of dang scenes after the scenes are over. Got 2 scenes after my dang scenes. Credits again, more scenes. Now do you love me? Do you love me now? Oh, I need to be president.
That was brilliant. Beth, what did you think?
I loved it. It was really a good one. Okay, so the next up, I'm going to share a piece that I created, and it's called You've Got the Big C. This is the worst part of my job. I'm really sorry to have to tell you this, but you've got the big C. Well, actually, you have the big CC. You've got climate change. All the tests came back positive. I even had the chance to share the results of your tests with all the other scientists in the whole world. And 97% of them confirmed that you've got climate change. And the other 3% didn't deny it. What do I think you should do about it? Nothing. Just go about your daily life as if nothing's wrong. Go on, have fun. Just don't let it bother you. Next up, we have an original piece that was created just for this show by Seth Shostak.
Seth is a senior astronomer and Institute Fellow at the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute, which also is affectionately known as the SETI Institute. He has a long history of research in radio astronomy. He's written 4 books and has more than 600 popular articles on science and technology. He also, importantly, has this weekly science radio show called Big Picture Science. Over to you, Seth.
You've heard of stand-up comedy. Well, this is sit-down comedy. The subject today, climate change. A pretty amusing subject, really. I mean, the dinosaurs lived for 150 million years in hot conditions, high humidity. They did just fine. If they can do it, you can do it too. And besides, it might, change us physiologically so we can ship some of the surplus population to Venus. Now let's consider some of the other benefits of climate change. To begin with, Florida will go away. All right, that's good news for those of you who like to drive carefully, or for those of you who just don't like the fact that all the buildings are painted pink, or maybe you just don't enjoy alligator shoes. No more hanging shad, and the south of Georgia will suddenly have all these beachfront communities where New Yorkers can retire. Of course, other places will go away too, like, New Orleans, Bangladesh, half of Brooklyn. Some of that will be missed. Then there's Antarctica. Antarctica has the same land area as the United States and Western Europe put together, right? And just think, it's all going to be clear so we can put condos on it. I think that's a good thing. Oh, the Canadian Arctic. I mean, there's not much up there. There's some giant white ungulates and stuff. But on the other hand, once the melting begins, you'll see Tim Hortons start establishing restaurants up there, and that's going to be a good thing for the Canadians and a good thing for you. Well, frankly, the bottom line is pretty simple. I mean, if you don't think that this is a good deal, if you can't take this, then I say get out of the kitchen and head to someplace that's a little bit cooler, like, I don't know, Europa.
And now I am happy to announce the 2020 international winner of our video competition. It comes to us from South Africa, and it's called Climate Change in South Africa. How bad can it be?
This was written and produced by Stephen Horn from Politically Awe in South Africa. As we're told, Awe is a South African slang word used as a greeting or to mean yes or cool. Contributors also included Emma Baker, Zifo Mahova, Gabrielle Pinto, Zaid Lagardien, Aman Baba Olo, Makail Adam, and the rest of the Politically Awe team. This is part of a South African youth infotainment show that first started airing in fall 2019 and continues through today. So check it out.
Let's face it, Mzansi, climate change is something we've been blue ticking for far too long. But you can't ignore messages from mom forever. And by mom, I mean Mother Earth. With this past July being the hottest month in recorded human history. Again.
July 2015.
July 2016.
July 2019 was the hottest month ever recorded.
People around the world are protesting in their thousands and demanding action. But here in SA, we've been a bit busy.
Xenophobic looting in South Africa. A new wave of violence against women.
South Africa's unemployment rate has increased to 29%.
Climate change seems pretty low on the agenda for most South Africans. Could it be because we have no idea just how bad things are?
This is fine.
Let's get away. Climate change might be trending a lot in the news lately, but we've known about it for a long time, guys. Here's an article from SA's Rand Daily Mail from nearly 40 years ago. And in 2019, we are starting to realize that the ice caps melting is just the beginning.
Fires.
Heat wave.
Heat wave.
Heat wave.
Namibia faces its worst drought in 35 years.
Bulldozed by nature.
Giant inland sea, the product of Cyclone Idai.
Iceland just held a funeral for a glacier.
Closer to home, we saw how Day Zero nearly caused an apocalypse in Cape Town. And it didn't help that about half the world's media came to soak up all the drama.
Cape Town is running out of water. I should be over my head in water. Normally I would be completely underwater. Imagination.
They're calling it Day Zero.
Day Zero.
Day Zero.
Day Zero.
Day Zero.
Cape Town was spared by rain just in time.
Praise the Lord.
But many towns across the country have already hit Day Zero.
Dry rivers and an empty dam.
The water crisis in Makanda.
South of Beaufort West, it's real bad.
It's bad, actually. It's very bad.
Sure. The only way I'm gonna get through this is with a strong cup of tea.
Any climate change here means the Rooibos bush is in trouble.
No! Why can't we have nice things? I wish I had some good news for y'all, but I'm afraid that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you're watching this in 2050, ask your grandparents. Scientists say we're on track for 4 degrees of global warming by 2100. What would that look like?
So hot it hurts.
See this map here? That red part covering Africa is so hot it's uninhabitable. And the yellow part covering the whole of SA. That's our entire country turned into a desert. And only these guys are going to be celebrating. Until next time, stay woke, stay away.
So Inside the Greenhouse is co-founded and co-directed by Max and I, along with our partners, Rebecca Safran and Phaedra Pezzullo.
Becca Safran is a professor in the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology, and Phaedra Pezzullo is a professor in the Communication Department. So it makes for wonderful interdisciplinary collaboration.
Max is an environmental studies professor, and I'm a theater professor, also teach some with environmental studies. We want to give a brief shout out to some other folks who are advancing creative climate comedy. This is not an exhaustive list. We want to give a shout out to Belina Raffi at Sustainable Stand Up.
Give a shout out to Pablo Suarez, who harnesses humor for climate-related humanitarian work through the Red Cross, Red Crescent Climate Center, among other arenas.
And Chantel Billadou, who heads up the Climate Change Theater Action.
And a shout out to Katie Borum-Chatu and Lauren Feldman, who've been researching these intersections and who have a new book that's coming out here shortly called A Comedian and an Activist Walk into a Bar, the Serious Role of Comedy in Social Justice.
We send a shout out to Emily Cohen in Santa Cruz, California, who's working on a comedy TV show about climate comedy.
So shout outs to fellow researchers Jessica McKnight, Paul Brewer, Ashley Anderson, Amy Becker, David Krantz, Adam Corner, John Cook, Joe Smith, Robin Nobby, Abel Gustafson, Risa Jensen, and none other than Chris Skirka. They're all doing work that helps contribute to our understanding of how comedy works for climate action. And in addition, I'm wearing a particular t-shirt with the inspirational words.
Open it up,
colleague and friend Ed Maybach, who works with Tony Leiserowitz and many others. The saying is climate change, it's real, it's us. Experts agree, it's bad, but there's hope.
And we just want to remind everybody that climate change comedy is not just for professionals. We've been doing this with students. It's really accessible and it has incredible co-benefits. If you want to get some inspiration, you can go to our website at Inside the Greenhouse, go to our tab for How to Act Up, and go to Drawdown Act Up.
So, we want to thank journalists who are covering these emergent movements. I want to thank many of the other content producers who we haven't name checked tonight as they share their creative work with the world. And we continue to examine how this is effective in using comedy to communicate about climate change.
And here is a pandemic version of stand-up comedy done by none other than Chuck Nice.
Hey everybody, it's very good to be here and to be a part of this very important show. And no offense, it's much better to be apart from you all who are watching. Of course, I kid you. I love you all like you were my very own children. And by that, I mean from afar. Rim shot. Thank you. I'm really happy that Max and Beth had the boldness to carry forward this message that there is still a climate crisis even while we're dealing with the pandemic. So let's take our minds off the viral existential threat that faces all of humanity and focus on the man-made existential threat that faces us all instead. There, isn't that better? Now, I'm sure it's difficult to get a grip on just how important climate crisis is when you're preoccupied with a global pandemic, especially when the only grip you're probably thinking about is the one that happens at the end of your homeschooling day.
You are a terrible teacher!
Yeah. So if you're watching this, chances are you know how serious climate crisis remains, but maybe you don't. So here's a little help to frame the issue. Last year, the Arctic was on fire. Thanks to high temperatures, June 2019 was the hottest June on record. Frozen peatlands are drying up and becoming highly flammable. Simple lightning strikes have caused massive peat fires, which tend to burn longer than regular forest fires, and also sound like a hot guy named Pete picking up women at a singles club. Did I just say singles club? Because no one says that anymore. Yes, the place that houses the North Pole was on fire. And the only upside is you can save some money, cancel Christmas, and tell your kids that Santa died in a wildfire. I told a friend that joke, and he said, actually, the North Pole sits in the middle of the Arctic Ocean, so it can't really be on fire. Siberia and parts of Greenland were on fire. I was like, dude, did you just fact check a Santa Claus joke? And the problem you have is geography? Everyone knows that we have to do something, all of us. I don't feel like I'm doing my part, enough at least. I admire people who are making real changes in their lives to battle climate crisis. However, I have to admit, whenever I see a grown man in a suit on the streets of Manhattan on a skateboard, I can't help but think, is that a socially responsible eco-warrior lowering his carbon footprint, or just some dude with 5 DUIs? Because it's hard to tell the difference. They look the same on the outside. On the outside, he's like, I'm a socially conscious eco-warrior, lowering my carbon footprint on the way to work. And on the inside, he's like, this is bullshit. Now, already, people are starting to talk about how much less pollution we're putting into the atmosphere, like COVID-19, or as it's known in my community, the Rona, is any kind of plan to reduce carbon. What a dumbass plan that would be. Everybody stay home, lose your job, spend trillions of dollars in taxpayer funds, and don't touch your face. That's right, climate crisis. We would thumb our noses at you if we could touch our faces. Now, of course, we need to lower our carbon output. That means everyone. That means you. You might hear people say that individuals lowering their carbon footprint won't solve this problem. Please introduce their lips to a very plump and highly sought after part of my anatomy. Yes, suck my earlobes. It's gross for them and it turns me on. Win-win. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be one of those annoying climate Nazis, otherwise known as rational thinking, science accepting, good looking people. I'm not advocating for anything crazy like Uber Piggy. If you're not familiar with Uber Piggy or Piggy Lyft, it's a zero carbon ride sharing app where you open up your regular Uber or Lyft app, choose the pig icon, and in a mere 1 to 2 hours, someone shows up to transport you via piggyback. It's the only ride when the driver tells you to get off their back, it just means the ride is over. I like that joke. I think it's cute. You know, communication is key when it comes to climate, which is why this show is critically important. Now, here's a look at a well-meaning, earnest attempt at discussing the issue that just doesn't quite make the grade.
Hello there. My name is Brian Etling. I'm here today because I love planet Earth and I'm very concerned about climate change. I humorously educate and inspire people like you and your group to take action to resolve climate change. As you can tell, I love public speaking. Furthermore, other rangers and park visitors frequently compliment me on my enthusiasm and creativity, especially with the visual aids in my programs, such as this rubber chicken, to keep things fun and light.
Okay, I appreciate his genuine desire to educate and his sincere concern and love for the planet. But buddy, read the room. If you're going to talk to children, maybe you shouldn't look like the guy that causes moms to dial 911 to report a strange man walking by the playground. No, but I'm sure he does a great job. He doesn't scare children at all. Clearly it's me. Now, this crisis is real, and it's so much more dangerous than the coronavirus. The climate crisis will cost us more lives, more money, more food insecurity, more geopolitical instability, and it will make coming pandemics that much worse. But yet, we had an immediate response to COVID-19, and we're still arguing about how we should do or what we should do to solve the climate crisis. So how do we get people to respond to climate? Change the name. That's right. I'm talking COVID-19. That'll get people to pay attention. And when black people come up with a nickname, you know you have made it. The first time I heard a black person call COVID-19 the Rona, I was like, oh, this pandemic is serious. Yo, did you hear Jamal got the Rona? Yo, don't mess around with that Rona, yo. When we get to a place that black people are saying things like, forget the Rona, bruh, I'm on to that Clyde now. That's when we know our message is getting across. And speaking of messaging, we need to do a better job letting people know that scientists, once again, are right. Here's climate scientist Gavin Schmidt on a recent episode of Star Talk, a little show that I do with a co-host called Neil deGrasse Tyson. You may have heard of him. But Gavin is actually talking about the recent history of climate modeling and how accurate it is.
In climate, we started seriously looking at the carbon dioxide problem in the 1960s. And people made predictions then that said, okay, well, by the end of the century, we'll have warmed up by about 1 degree Celsius. And we did. But it wasn't just like, it's going to get warmer. It was quite precise. And then they said, well, okay, but up in the stratosphere, which is the part of the atmosphere above the weather, they said, well, actually, something weird is going to happen there. It's going to get colder. And it turns out that happened as well. And then they said, well, the water vapor is going to go up. And they said, well, that happened too. And all of these things that we predicted, the increase of heat in the ocean, we predicted that. at the rate at which it's actually warming up.
See, the problem is that scientists need to be more like trash-talking street ballers because America responds to brash, cocky, obnoxious braggarts even when they're wrong. President, that's what we need. Oh, yeah, bitch! In your face. Climate models on point all day. Take that. You like that? You like that? I got a little out of control there. All right, I know this is a comedy piece, or at least I hope it's a comedy piece. I mean, I don't know because I'm in a pandemic and recording this in the isolation chamber. Not sure if anybody out there is laughing. Please be laughing. But I want to end on a serious note because that's the way you're supposed to end a comedy show. It's like that old showbiz saying, always leave them wanting to scream in horror. Now, 2019 was the hottest year on record, so I leave you with global warming from 1880 to 2019, courtesy of NASA GISS. Enjoy. Oh, well, this doesn't look so bad at all. I mean, look at all that blue. It's rather pretty and I'm sure quite pleasant as far as temperatures are concerned. Well, all right, a little bit of yellow coming in, but hey, listen, that's not so bad. This looks rather comfortable as far as I'm concerned. Not so bad at all. Oh, okay. All right, that's a little bit of red coming in. All right, guys, we want to maybe slow this down a little bit. Please, we're going a little... Okay, guys, stop. Please make it stop. Make it stop! It's too hot! Yeah. You know, it's over, but I thought maybe, you might be home clapping, so I just figured I'd come back and acknowledge that, say thank you so much. And no, really, no, wow, you're just too kind, aren't you? Wow, okay, well, thanks a lot. No, you can, seriously, it's okay, thanks.
So comedy can liberate us through this strange involuntary opening that happens in the mouth and in the mind, because in that moment of opening, there can be a release of this single perspective. We can question authority, we can expose hypocrisy, and we can release our feeling of delight.
I love how comedy can wiggle into, to poke, prod at, pretension, to falsehoods we live by, fictions, contradictions. And so this comedy show is hopefully helping us work along that pathway.
So we're going to end this show with a comedic song. And it's brought to us by someone who's done so much for climate communication, and that is Andrew Revkin.
Andy now is director of the Initiative on Communication and Sustainability at the Earth Institute at Columbia University. We're fortunate to have not just Andy's song featured at the end here, but we're actually honored to have Andy here as well.
So Andy, we're super interested in knowing how you've used music for communicating climate and even bringing comedy in.
I was a musician way before I was a journalist, right? I began playing guitar when I was 17. My brother and I, we were growing up in Rhode Island. My mom, our mom had a guitar from like Girl Scout camp and stuff, and we borrowed her guitar. And so that was 17. I had no journalistic bones in my body when I was 17. I did work on a scandalous high school newspaper that wasn't a newspaper. It was called East Greenwich After Dark, EGAD, EGAD. And so that music was always there. And then I didn't really start writing songs in a big way till the 90s. I moved to the Hudson Valley and became friends with Pete Seeger, a guy that your older viewers will know. And he was just a musical force here. In fact, that's how I ended up meeting the woman who's now my wife, was through a mutual friend who was one of Pete Seeger's hangers-on. And every once a month there'd be this potluck supper and the Beacon Sloop Club, and you'd come in and bounce around songs and stuff. So that's how the music got in. And then always, writing articles. By the 90s, I'd already written, hundreds of articles in newspapers, magazines, several books already by that time. But there were always these things that just didn't fit well into a story. Love or and I don't know how liberated carbon came. It came around through those words, liberated carbon. And it was during the Gulf War. It was the early 90s. And the Gulf War was happening. We were liberating carbon, from Iraq. And, the fields that that Saddam had taken in Kuwait. Actually, my first op-ed, my first article for the New York Times, a byline of the New York Times, was during that Gulf War before I was on the staff, where I was imagining what would happen if all the oil had burned up. Like, would we even care about the Middle East anymore? So, but there's still, that's like not a song. And so then I was thinking, liberated carbon, and it's like, it took 1,000 generations for our species to rise. But gathering and hunting was no way to get by. We used to, we craved to burn more than dung and sticks. Then someone came along and said, hey, try lighting this. We opened up the ground. He opened up the ground and showed us coal and oil. He said, come liberate some carbon. It'll make your blood boil. You know, and it's like, liberate carbon, it'll make your wheels. Liberated carbon, it'll make your meals. Liberated carbon, it'll turn your night to day. Hey, hey, come on and liberate some carbon, babe. It's the American way. So like, and when I was first playing that in the mid-90s, so I'm a reporter at the New York Times, you know, supposed to be objective and, you know, reportorial. And so I used to, when I would play it, I would kind of say, I should have a bag over my head because I shouldn't really be, this is not my New York Times reporter scenario, persona. So that was always a little awkward. And then,
do you have any words to say about the value of using comedy to communicate climate?
Well, it's kind of climate, so many dimensions of it are surreal to begin with, that it, you know, it's very serious. It's very stark and dark. And, but when something is so big and sitting in your face for decades and you realize people can't see it, and it has dimensions that are such a bad fit for the human mind and for the way society makes decisions, that can take you in two directions, toward despair and anger, or toward, like, you know, more of a, you step back and just in wonderment at this. I wonder at it. I don't mean wonderful, but I mean, it's something to wonder at. Like the Homo sapiens, right? Sapient species, and yet the thing that's these profound things that sit in front of us that we miss. And the coronavirus they've got similar characteristics. It's like, this is not some big surprise attack. And I keep talking, and when I talk just on my show, this thing I'm doing now online, I had these national security experts on a week ago, and all they could say was, we keep having a failure of the imagination. And it was 9/11, Pearl Harbor, you know, Katrina. It's not like a city below sea level, you know, was going to have a happy time with a hit by a hurricane. And now coronavirus, you know, this has just been sitting there waiting to unfold, and it's kind of still, you can have all kinds of emotional reactions to it, and they're all right. They're all correct, including weird laughter.
Yeah. Thanks. We are really happy that you could join us on the show. Thank you so much, Andy.
I'm happy you're doing it because, and I'm happy that Max wrote his book about creative climate communication. And, you know, the Anthropocene, we could also just the Anthropocene, even the word is funny. You know, it's like, as I say, sometimes the Brits call it the Anthropocene. We call it the Anthropocene. We haven't even figured out how to pronounce it yet. So anyone who thinks it'd be good, bad, or indifferent is missing that it's so novel and new that it's, again, to me, it's kind of funny. There's when the word Anthropocene was put into the Oxford English Dictionary, the words that same year included flexitarian. I mean,
that's amazing.
So we're at a weird moment, and if you can't smile about it sometimes, then that would be a loss if we can't have those emotions at the same time.
That's right. Okay.
Thanks so much. Thanks for taking this time with us. Thanks for your ongoing work. The best is yet to come. There you go. I got you to laugh.
Max Boykoff.
Yeah.
Got you to laugh.
Andy, can you tell us about your show that you've been doing online?
Yeah, so I woke up on Sunday, March 15th, you know, in the middle of this unfolding catastrophe. And I hadn't had my blog for years now, .earth, and I haven't had time to write really. And so I just went online. Literally, there's this thing called StreamYard, which allows you to go live to Facebook and YouTube and Twitter at the same time. And I said, well, I'll try it. And I had two different sessions that day on the Sunday, just to test drive this thing. And, you know, there were hundreds of people who showed up. And now I've decided it has a rhythm. It's called Sustain What. So the easiest thing is just Google for my name, Revkin, and COVID-19 hashtag and Sustain What. It's on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook.
Great.
Follow me on Periscope, which I didn't even really know what it was until a couple of weeks ago. And you can keep track. It's and it's a running conversation about how do we navigate this epic challenge with how can we limit the losses now and then make sure we're not just rebuilding a brittle world going forward, so that I've talked to people from Bhopal, everyone from like a team of civilian volunteers in Bhopal who formed a food network to get food out to the poorest people who don't have any money from their day jobs to eat, to, you know, former national security officials, to Terry Tempest Williams, the poet and essayist, to Chuck Nice, the comedian, to today some of the world's best, you know, reporters and journalists and scientists working in this. And so it's just an open exploration of a very wicked issue. And Sundays are when we do poetry and song and all that stuff. So Chuck Lavelle, the keyboard player from Allman Brothers and Rolling Stones, was on last Sunday. And
Great.
So stay tuned.
Nice. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for all you do.
All right. Take care. Enjoy.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy Earth Day.
It took 1,000 generations for our species to rise, but gathering and hunting was no way to get by. We yearned to burn more than dung and sticks. Then someone came along and said, hey, try lighting this. He opened up the ground and showed us coal and oil. Said, come liberate some carbon, it'll make your blood boil. Liberated carbon, it'll spin your wheels. Liberated carbon, it'll nuke your meals. Liberated carbon, it'll turn your night to day. Hey, hey, come on and liberate some carbon, babe, it's the American way. Now I got peat swamp fossils running my TV. BP's black label burns in my SUV. We can light up the